Well, I think that's the first time my Skype has ever just...
Welcome to part 2. Yeah, apparently that was a full Skype crash.
Yeah, fully dead and gone.
So, for people who clicked on this and saw the first 30-ish minute chunk, I just asked what Madison thought of Venom 2. So I'll pose that question again.
I don't like it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it was bad.
I thought it was really, really not good. I mean, with those kind of movies, I always wonder, like, I know that I'm missing out on a little bit of, like, context, because I didn't read the comics or whatever.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you're gonna make a movie out of it, you have to just assume that most people haven't done
Yeah, so they definitely did, because there's...
I mean, they did backstory. Like,
yeah.
they did... I didn't see the first one, but
there's almost zero. The only stuff that had backstory was the relationship, and you didn't need to know any of that.
Right, like that was not required for the second one. And then I think you actually showed us the very last, like, 5 minutes of the first movie, which sets up the second one and has literally nothing to do with anything in the first movie.
Yeah. Like, they had a game plan, and their game plan was, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, the ending of the first Venom with the wig is so choice. And the wig that they did for the second one was, like, technically better, but I wish they would have kept the first one. It was so bad.
They really should have just committed to what they did to Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
I like him. I think he did his best.
Yeah. I think a lot of people in that movie, in some way or another, did their best. I don't think that's what should have happened, but it happened.
No.
Just for reference, other than that spectacular Eminem song, the first movie, like, the entirety of it is he is a confusing journalist. He's like a YouTube journalist, sort of, and he is dating a, like...
lawyer? Like a corporate lawyer?
Not 100% sure.
She's a high-powered, modern woman.
Yeah, and she has documents that pertain to his, like, interests in a company he's looking into that is just like, hey, essentially it's, hey, what if Tesla were evil kind of company. And then their Elon Musk stand-in finds the symbiote stuff, ends up getting himself turned into one, kind of, and then they have an ugly monster fight at the end. And in the middle, lawyer, whatever, girlfriend gets venomized, and you saw what happens with that.
Yeah, she turns into sexy goo.
Yeah, she's a sexy goo, and brings the goo back to Tom. What's the other one? Tom Hardy. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh boy, real good. People may notice some stutters in this one, and I'm going to blame it partially on the fact that about half of every tree in this town fell out of position a couple days ago with, like, some storm we had.
Yeah, we've been having some really weird weather situations. It snowed, like, what, yesterday?
Yeah, this morning when I went outside, there was snow on the garbage cans. It was bright outside, and there was still like giant pools of water everywhere from when it rained, which happened after it snowed. So like it's confusing out there. Yeah, this is what I walked outside image to go with all the other amazing things that I've sent you in the last hour. But yeah, it's been weird out here. It other than it fluctuating like pretty like desert fluctuations in the temperature between night and day. Also, just the weather fluctuations have been wild. Like, it feels like there's a middle of summer a lot of days, and then it's a middle of winter just following it right up. So
yeah, Idaho does a lot of weird weather shit. It's kind of fun.
It's kind of fun.
Let's get
yeah, I would definitely put it in that range. Get out of here. Grapes.
Here it is. Oh, yeah. Snow.
Yeah. Like, not a lot, but a little bit of snow on the dumpsters. But very bright. And their weird, like, hyper sunlight that sunburnt my face just sitting in a cafe almost 3 weeks ago. You know, that pre-snow sunburn.
Yeah.
At least in Alaska, it's on the bottom of your face. Here, it's just
everywhere.
Yeah. Anyway.
So, what else? I'm trying to think if there was anything else I had to say about Venom 2.
Yeah, because I have I'm gonna call my Marvel. Yeah.
Okay, I'm back now.
Yeah, it stuttered for a second, and then I just saw your eyes wildly moving around. Anyway, let me see. Do I still have? Maybe I don't. All right. Yeah. Any final thoughts on that? The fight scenes were bad. I thought.
The like conversation between the symbiote and him is real cringy and just bad. Like they try really hard to make it funny.
They tried to make it like a gay couple. And that just does not work.
No, it was weird.
Especially when one of them is doing whatever with their accent.
Yeah. that was
a little on the rough side. The only spot that I found to be actually sort of momentarily enjoyable as like a movie scene was when the goop fell out the window, gooped onto someone else, and then was just really bitchily tearing that bike up. That was about the only thing that I was like, that's kind of funny.
I did kind of like the scenes where the goo was on its own and like went to a party by itself. I mean, parts that were like
at least that was something happening.
Yeah.
They could have had a mannequin play the antagonist and just put the wig on it. Like, nothing in that character was like, oh, I'm so glad this is being played by Woody Harrelson. Like, it was never good. The motives of the Carnage, the red one that he had, were completely like nonsensical, like
really weird. Like they didn't explain it. It
yeah.
became clear at one point that like there's only allowed to be one of them or something.
I guess.
And he kept saying like I need to kill my father or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the original one was like, oh god, it's a red one. Those are really scary, and then beat it. So I don't.
Also, like, they didn't give any context for that. Like, why?
Yeah,
Why does that
I
matter?
don't know why that is, but I assume.
Like the main one is sort of bluish black, and the one in the last one was sort of like purpley. Who cares? Like, no context has been given.
Yeah, I don't understand the color scheming of the aliens.
Also, that they all have names works fine in a comic book context, but it's pretty stupid when they're trying to make this like movie world with it. And what I was going to say about the Venom series, because it was just a Spider-Man thing initially, that's the only version of that story that makes any sense. So since you haven't read that stuff and shouldn't, the reason why Venom is initially like it is, and why it, so they kind of think they did change is Venom always had like a Spider-Man looking emblem on it too.
Mm-hmm.
And in this one, it's just like it's got weird veiny things going.
Yeah.
That's because it, in space, got attached to Peter Parker, and he had the suit for a while, like in the old Spider-Man movie. And then when it kind of got scared away from him with like the sonic noise stuff, which is like accurate enough, it ended up finding somebody else because they were there trying to like get incriminating pictures of Spider-Man at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And
it
that
was Brock Turner, right? It was supposed to be.
It was Eddie Brock. It was the same character.
Oh, Eddie Brock. Okay.
But like, that's who Tom Hardy's playing. But in a world where Spider-Man doesn't exist, mostly, it doesn't make any sense because there's no reason why the Goop would look like the Goop looks or any of the others.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a major through line in the original idea of that comic where like every single Goop is from the Goop that Peter Parker had, and that's why they look like Spider-Man, kind of. But they just, like, that character's become popular in the last decades, so like it's just now it looks like Spider-Man and nobody should ask questions, kind of.
Yeah, I guess so. There was like one tiny sliver of a second in the movie where they acknowledged like that it was the same universe as Spider-Man. Like I think they had what's his name, Tom Holland on a screen for a few seconds.
They had him show up on a TV in a credit scene.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And that scene, so that happens in this one, and this isn't really spoiling anything because you haven't seen the new Spider-Man movie yet, right?
No.
So this is going to start into my prediction, which is a terrible prediction, but I think it might be right, and I'm kind of upset about it. I'm glad you don't know who any of these characters are, because I can just be sort of obtuse, but give you like the idea of it, and then I won't have to go into like super nerd mode or anything, because it gets dark in there. So at the end of Spider-Man, there is an after credit scene in that as well, where he is at that same like beach hotel that he's at when he sees Spider-Man on the TV. And at the ending scene in Spider-Man, he's sitting at a cabana bar, and the guy he's like asking him things about Spider-Man as though it like took place after the last scene from this Venom movie. and then he transports back into his universe. And like, if you don't see both scenes, it makes no goddamn sense. But it's essentially two tiny scenes of him transporting between universes and presumably back to his own at the end of the Spider-Man end credit scene. And when he zips back, it leaves a little pile of goop that starts like crawling away in the Spider-Man universe. So it's like insinuating that they can goopify things in the Marvel universe now because the goop's been transmitted, which is really stupid because it basically takes the current Eddie Brock character they have, which is terrible, and I even like Tom Hardy and stuff, but the character's awful, and they've just sort of moved him dimensions, pulled off some of the goo and thrown it, and then moved him back as like a plot device, and then treated it like that was a good thing to show people in the credit scenes, especially that Spider-Man movie, which is like pretty okay, and just having that follow it up for no goddamn reason is really stupid. Anyway, the point of that is they now in the Disney Marvel universe have goop, which is important. In the Loki show, this is going to get stupid. In the Loki show, they established that a character who is usually known as Kang is in the universe. And it's essentially a character who is a guy who has gone around in time a whole bunch and done a bunch of weird shit. And there's different versions of him all over, which they touch on, like there's different versions of people in the multiverse. That's like their whole push for this season,
Right.
this phase of stuff. Mm-hmm. That's important to the Loki show, but it's also the variant idea is important to the arc they're doing. He apparently recently was. I gotta open something. I'm gonna open the alcohol actually. That character was confirmed not too long ago to be. Yes, this is correct.
Perfect. That is what you need.
This is really fucking good, and we're gonna be drinking these soon. So, the Kang character has been confirmed to also be a version or one of the same type of character or whatever. Like he would be on a team with these characters, or a character now called the Watcher, who is just a weird big-headed alien who sits around in the multiverse and watches almost like on screens all the shit that's happening in all the multiverses for whatever reason. Nobody gives a shit, but essentially what they're setting up is giving him a conscientious observer role where he's like the version of an observer who starts fucking with stuff so that people can kind of like use that as like their basis for what he is. So Spider-Man movie, it's not spoiling anything to say that it has the multiverse idea in it. The animated Spider-Man movie that was really popular with Miles Morales, the Spider-Verse movie, that also like sort of picked up that stuff. And the I think released a couple days ago, which I do want to see, the Doctor Strange movie that is new is a multiverse movie, which one of the, I have not checked, one of the cameos that was supposed to be in it is, well, have you heard any of the cameos that are in it? I'm not like...
No, I am super out of the loop.
Good. I want you to see this image just so you know what I'm talking about. Apparently this came to fruition in that they shot these scenes, but it didn't come to fruition in that it is in the current version of the movie.
I was disappointed.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. So, you'll be getting those in a second. Anyway, so this, try to not make this too stupid and boring because it's really, really stupid. So the images you're receiving, they did do shoots for that. They did have him come in to do that. He is a ultimate Tony Stark, and it's Tom Cruise as Iron Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would you make this choice?
They're trying to push the fucking weird multiverse stuff where there's a bunch of different versions of the same character.
Okay,
So
like in another universe, it's just like not RDJ, I guess.
yeah, in another universe, it's instead Tom Cruise, who, might I say, looks fucking terrible as that character. But yes. So
He looks like the guy from the Hunger Games, Seneca Crane.
He looks very Hunger Games, which for all of like the faults of Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. pulled off all the weird things and made it look decent.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think they're going to find another person who does that like that. And I think they should maybe kind of like lay off it, but who knows? At the same time,
I don't know.
I'd love
like
to see how bad it gets. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I kind of like the idea of a Scientologist Iron Man. That's interesting.
So in the animated show that a lot of this multiverse stuff also has, the If series that's on Disney Plus, they have like a different voiced Iron Man and like alternate Iron Man characters in that. And it just seeing those characters with slightly different voices, even though I've seen cartoons and comics for my whole life of those characters, it's kind of fucked up when they try to make it like they were, but then make it weird too. It's anyway. So they're pushing the multiverse thing. The point is they're trying to make a bunch of characters of things, and the main character that is a villain, like a big villain, in the comic arcs is Kang, because he has a bunch of variants, but they're like learning off of each other and like doing things that are kind of impossible and power mad. Okay. So all of that has been sort of the general idea of like, well, this is where they're going, because they set this up in the Loki show. They set up that they like altered a little bit of stuff and came back to the timeline and things were fucked up, kind of like a butterfly effect kind of thing, except it wasn't Ashton Kutcher strangling himself with an umbilical cord in a sonogram like in that movie. If you haven't seen Butterfly Effect, you should. It's terrible. So they're setting up like the if we fuck with time, it fucks with everything setting. They're doing all that stuff. The reason why this is important and why it gets way worse since they're trying to bring Venom into it is because the villain in this this new let's see. Let me get this. I forget his name offhand. And I promise this will all make sense as I get deeper into it. Right now it sounds like I'm a rambling crazy person. And just like talking about this Marvel stuff is pretty mind-numbing. But the sad... okay, I don't care about this. That's what it was. Okay. So, this new Doctor Strange movie, setting up a lot of multiverse stuff. I'm not going to talk about the villain of that one because it's a minor spoiler. But I am going to talk about the new Thor movie that's coming out in a little while's villain, because that is really important. And in the multiverse, that becomes very important. So, their name is Gore the God Butcher, and they're apparently being played by last Batman, what's his name?
Robert Pattinson?
No, last Batman. The Dark Knight Batman.
I don't.
The
can't
Machinist. Christian Bale. There we go.
Yes, that's it.
Okay, so Christian Bale is playing a character named Gore the God Butcher. Already A+ stuff. Gore the God Butcher, let me just get you a picture of him real quick. And these pictures I do have saved because this is a conspiracy theory that I've been slowly building over time and unfortunately is getting closer and closer to real. Get this garbage. Gore the God Butcher is a character who is like a character who shouldn't be able to exist on like a sort of shitty, fucked up planet, but there's like a little race of like alien things that manage to exist there. All of the stuff that happens to them is very unfortunate. And then one day, if I remember right, Gore runs into two gods fighting. Oh man, it's been some time, huh? My phone is a fucking trash fire at all times. Do I have him in here? Oh, maybe I didn't take any pictures of him. Okay, suffice to say, Gore the God Butcher looks like he was designed by the same people who made Spawn, except a little more alien-y. He looks kind of like the first Avenger movie bad guys, the Krill or whatever the fuck they are. And he sees two gods fighting, and I think they kill each other, or one is mortally wounded by the other, and then he picks up the dark god's weapon, who is momentarily dead or whatever, and kills the other god who's like asking for help or whatever. The good god, because the way the Disney stuff is translated to, probably not. That is a god that's the progenitor of a thing called the Captain Universe costume, which again, Captain Universe is one of those dumb things, but it's a cosmic power that attaches itself to different heroes throughout the comic universe one at a time and makes them like a superhero hero. It spends a lot of time attached to Spider-Man, and I would see that as a pretty likely outcome for like this arc, is to attach to Spider-Man, because that's like a pretty big character for it. It's literally just it gives you a costume where I think the top half is black, the bottom half is white, and the black part has like stars in it. It looks really comic booky, but like it could look good, who knows. And that's like a power of good like thing. The god it was fighting with the weapon that Gore picks up is a god called Null, which matters. And the weapon that has to be a part of this, because it's literally like the whole point of Gore is that they get this weapon and then that weapon makes them into like a super powerful thing that people have to fight. That weapon is where Venom comes from. And it's a living weapon, and it's the symbiote weapon, and your reaction to this is correct. And that is like the god that he pulls it off of is the dark god that created all the symbiotes. Specifically, like that's his one major thing, is that he has a planet and he has all the symbiotes, and that's like what Venom is, and that's sort of the whole storyline coming from that character. He's really stupid. For anybody who played World of Warcraft at any point, there's a character called well, it's the Frost King or whatever, but Arthas. He is like a necromancer knight man who has like unlimited power, and he has a magic sword that gives it to him and all this stuff. It's literally like the same thing. I'm gonna go ahead and send you just a little set of images for you to really get the weight of what I'm talking about. So this god character Null is tied in like directly and inseparable from this villain that they're putting in the new Thor movie. It's also got a storyline where that cop character from Venom 2 becomes a symbiote in the comics that is one of the main parts of the story arc, and the only arc that that character really does is to make contact with that like stupid character I just sent you pictures of. The like king on a throne character.
Yeah.
That character is the one who contacts him, and then he is like one of those stupid evil characters in comics that just they're gonna come destroy stuff. I'm sure Marvel will figure out some sort of dumb reason for that that's more cinema ready, but essentially that is the whole plot is that guy's bad and he has all these symbiotes, and the character who eventually beats him is Venom, which is kind of a weird, like, that's the part that doesn't add up, is that you could see them putting this terrible character into Marvel movies because they love putting terrible characters into Marvel movies.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be kind of tough to believe that they're going to make Venom the main, like, good guy in that story arc. I think. I don't know.
I could see like I don't know, he's kind of like an anti-hero.
But the other character who has defeated him at certain points is Spider-Man with that power costume.
Yeah.
The other thing is, one of the only times in the entire length of comics that I know of that Kang is ever a good guy is when he teams up with the Avengers specifically to try and beat Null, that shitty throne man. Which all of those, like every piece of what they're putting together feels like it leads towards Venom Planet. And that's such a stupid idea for that like phase of movie stuff. So a couple side notes. That the Null character goes up against like the Eternals. Like that's another, like the Eternals coming out and that character existing potentially in this universe makes a lot of sense. Kang teams up against him, and that's the only reason why Kang would be with the Avengers. The Venom movie has the character in it that specifically makes contact with him, and then they went through all the trouble to push Venom, a really stupid movie character, into the Marvel universe. They're having Gore the God Butcher, who is only a character because he's associated with this stupid demon man on another planet. And like, if all of that shit does in fact add up to what feels like the only direction they could be heading to me, the bad guy for their next arc is essentially Space Babadook, which sounds cooler than it is.
I mean, it doesn't sound that cool.
Yeah, I know. And then we've got the hero character, which could be Spider-Man, maybe, but like it's still a Sony property, so probably not, is probably Venom. And like honestly, at that point, it is Smile Dog versus the Babadook. And that feels a little low budget to me for what like Marvel's been doing. Anyway, any thoughts on that rambling pile of nonsense that I just went over?
I do always think that it's very interesting to see how like comic book characters get adapted into film and how they do, especially like ones that have cool costumes and stuff. So it's cool to see what it looks like in the comics, because I'm curious to see how that would play out in film. But
well, and also the like Venom in the comics looks neat, like neat enough, but like
I feel like they do a decent job with the Venom adaptation.
Yeah.
But I haven't read like an extensive amount of Venom comics by any means.
Venom's a weird character. It also like it's less absolute. I know that in supposedly, again, I have not looked up anything on like the Doctor Strange stuff really. It listed in the cast is Patrick Stewart playing Professor X. So it seems like they're using that as a springboard to kind of start moving in the X-Men characters, which is one of those Fox properties they just got.
Yeah.
And they could do things with Venom from that, because Venom and the X-Men kind of have weird stuff going on. Venom is attached to Wolverine for a while, which would be something. But I'm also
interesting.
I'm reticent about the X-Men stuff because, like, Hugh Jackman is an old man now, and Hugh Jackman is sort of like he's been the only Wolverine really. So I don't.
It's kind of hard to do a different Wolverine
I don't
after
want
his
Cyber Jackman, because I've seen Cyber Luke in Star Wars. It's a little rough.
Terrifying.
My favorite cyber person, I think, so far is still fucking little kid Iron Man in, what is that, Iron Man 2 or maybe an Avengers movie?
I don't actually remember that.
Okay, there is a beginning scene, it might be Age of Ultron, I don't remember, in which there is a Tony Stark who is a kid, but...
And they CGI it?
Absolutely, they made Robert Downey Jr. into a young man, and he's still playing him, clearly. And he looks kind of like he did in, like, really old movies or shows that I've seen bits of. It is just a nightmare to behold.
That's disappointing. Why? Why do the budget of a whole CGI on, like, we can suspend our disbelief for a few seconds to think, okay, this is young Tony Stark. Like,
okay, this is...
is there not a kid in the world who kind of looks like RDJ?
It's in the beginning of... it's in the beginning of Civil War. And I'm just gonna...
I know that I saw that one.
Civil War is fine. I just sent you literally a screenshot of Google, so you can just soak it in without doing that to yourself. So, yeah. In motion, it looks way worse, so don't worry. But
I see what you mean.
Yeah,
I thought it was like a child kid.
No, it's like a teenager.
Like a young.
That
is not what a teenager looks like.
Yeah, I know, because they should have just gotten somebody. Anyway, it's also really bad because that's like projected, and it's like a hologram in the movie, and he's standing next to it like, check this out. But I don't want them to do that to Hugh Jackman, but I also don't know, like, my worry with Wolverine is that they're going to get, like, some, like, American wrestler or something to do it, and that's going to fucking suck. there's just no great option. The other option they could do, which is a side thing, is they could get X-23 and just have female Wolverine, who's technically his like genetic daughter, I think. That would be way better, I think. But
that would be cool. I could
we'll
see
see
so many cool options for that instead of trying to find a new Wolverine.
Yeah. Hugh Jackman was really good at that. He was really good at being like, I think it comes from being like a heavily closeted gay man. You can really like let loose with the really macho shit and still take it seriously in like a fun way. Where honestly, I think a lot of guys, when they try to like let loose with macho shit, it comes across as like really stupid because they think it's cool. And I think that he knew it wasn't cool, and so it worked. But
it's like in on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, maybe we'll get a Wolverine surly Lady Venom character. They probably won't. Who knows? So I watched all of Moon Knight, and Kang also showed up in that as a like just a reference, but in a comic thing, he is a pharaoh. He like goes back in time and is like another pharaoh after, I think, at the end of like Egypt.
Okay.
And they inferred in that show that he had existed, and they like had his pharaoh stuff there too. So that was interesting, but it doesn't sway me away from my Babadook versus Smile Dog anticipation.
That's good.
Yeah. Also, just aggressively shitty in like the second episode about like the corporate view of what communism is. Like really, really shitty. They have the main, like the antagonist and the protagonist are at a like a commune that's like taken over part of the city of London, I think. And I think specifically they've cleaned up the black part of the town, is sort of what they're saying. And they have like group kitchens and like free food, and everybody's like hanging out and doing whatever they want, and like they have public gardens and stuff. But the leader, who everybody like bows to, just kills anybody on a whim if they are evil, and is passed off very much as a like, well, in communist societies, you have complete autocracy and they just murder whoever they want, and that's why it's pure. And it's just this like, okay, that's, yeah, great, Disney. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Perfect. Nailed it.
And the main conversation in that show is the main character who's like, I love to kill people after they've done bad stuff. And the bad guy who's like, I like to kill people before they even get a chance to do bad stuff. So a little bit dicey on the whole ideology part of that show. But there's some fun stuff. I enjoyed it. It's 6 episodes, and it's pretty good, and it's pretty short, but like the parts that did suck still weren't as bad as Falcon and Winter Soldier, because that one's bad, but like it still wasn't great.
Okay, well.
Yeah.
Where is that? What is that on?
It's also on Disney Plus. I watched a bunch of shit this last month because I've been like doing a lot of like job searching, and then also like didn't really have enough money to, let's say, buy a lot of food. So I was mostly like going on walks and staying home and like cooking, but then in the middle I was like waiting for phone calls, which is still my life, and watching a bunch of shit. And so I will have more stuff that I watch that will be less pedantic than what I already explained, but I did watch some cool stuff too.
I've also been like binge watching a couple of things.
Yeah.
I finished up the end of Ozark because that came out.
Is that 4 seasons?
I think so.
I've seen 5 minutes of Ozark. I saw the intro and I was like, oh, I should watch this sometime. Literally when it came out, and I've not seen another second of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of... I found myself like a month ago in a big Ozark phase where I literally watched it through and then watched it through again for some reason.
Oh. So it's pretty decent then.
I really liked it, but it's also it's a very like heavy show. There's not a lot of upside to any of it. It's kind of one of those shows where everyone's shitty.
So this is more Juno Jason Bateman than Arrested Development Jason Bateman?
Oh yeah. Yes. Yeah. This is like morally fraught and complicated Jason Bateman.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think all the acting is really good. There's a lot of like suspense and it's very intense. And I thought the ending was fine. But
okay.
Yeah, I would recommend it. I liked it a lot. And then other than that, Alex and I have been binge watching like so much Big Brother. Like so much Big Brother.
Mm-hmm.
But because I don't know.
All right.
I don't know if I've told you about like the thing with his family and Big Brother, but they've been watching it forever. And they and some of their friends in Alex's like friend group every year do like a pool of money, and then they draw names, and like whoever draws the name of the winner like wins it. And
so they're doing Big Brother betting.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
And last year I actually won it.
All right.
Which was the first time I had ever watched Big Brother. And last year's season was very interesting because this speaks a lot about the show. It was the first time a person of color had ever won Big Brother.
Uh-huh.
Show's been on for a long time. Like, I think the first season, I want to say, is like 2000, 2001. It's something like that.
I think The Bachelor had like their first black bachelor. I think
recently.
Yeah.
Yeah. The last season was pretty interesting because they had a lot of black people in the show, and well, there were a lot of black people, and usually in each season, there's like they have like one black person, one like ethnically ambiguous person, one like gay dude, and then everyone else is just milquetoast white people.
Okay.
Not to say they're not interesting characters, but people. But the last most recent season, I guess it's not the most recent, maybe the second to last most recent. They had a lot of people of color, and they pretty much right off the bat, at the beginning of the show, formed a huge alliance of just like black people, and and like completely won the game, and just like picked off all the white people one by one, and then like it got smaller and smaller, and then they got their first person of color winner. But they named their alliance the Cookout, and now everybody apparently, like the Big Brother fan base, is curious, and I'm also curious, and they're nervous to see how future seasons go because they are afraid that the race element is too easy a line to divide it along in the last season, like it was the last season. So people are afraid it's going to turn into like a race war. But
I mean,
it's fun to watch.
That's that sounds like it would be a benefit for that show. Like they don't have a lot of scruples in those shows, so I imagine the fan base is worried, but the showrunners are probably psyched that they could have some sort of weird ongoing racial tension.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like, I'm sure CBS the whole time is just loving it. But Alex and I have been rewatching all of the seasons, like, well, the notable seasons from the beginning. I don't know exactly which seasons we've seen because I can't keep track because there's a billion. But it's very fun watching the early 2000s ones.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure.
Because it's horrifying and every moment looks like a porn set the whole time.
I do actually remember that. And there was something, I forget what season it would have been. I was probably like in junior high or something. There was some point where there was like a British Big Brother specifically.
Yes, there's a Big Brother UK.
And I remember there was a big thing where they had night vision on them at night all the time. Mm-hmm. And I think in the internet you could go watch the cams of them just doing whatever at all hours.
It's like a live 24-hour feed of these people, like total fishbowl. Okay. Yeah, that's what it is.
Fucking weird.
Yeah, it's terrifying, and horrifying. And also, I learned this recently. Speaking of UK Big Brother, Trisha Paytas was on UK Big Brother.
Is that how she's famous?
I think so. I think it's like one of the first things she did. I think
Holy
because
shit.
she actually, I can't remember from the article if she ended up like quitting it or if they ended up voting her out. I wouldn't be surprised either way, but I remember looking it up and there's a clip of her in like the confession room having a meltdown, and saying she wanted to leave the show. But
yeah, it's hard to imagine.
It is. Also, she's pregnant and has COVID right now.
Yeah.
What's your daily Trisha Paytas update?
What was the last thing? I saw her doing something. Oh, it was those stupid online like YouTube video things.
You might have to be more specific.
Yeah, so I think I only saw it through somebody else's video and I showed you like a piece of it, but it was like her and I don't think it was her husband, but it might have been doing like weird scenes of like people being assholes at a movie theater.
Oh.
Yeah.
I remember that. I don't know what they were doing.
It was like she brought her popcorn to him and was like, "This popcorn's wrong." And he like poured it back into the machine and scooped out another. And she was like, "You can't do that. This is like, a movie theater." And it was just like really badly acted and like it was all fucking weird. Yeah, it looked like it was a porn for sure.
I mean, it might have been. She does do OnlyFans, but
yeah, but
I don't think it was a music video.
I don't think it was porn related or related to her OnlyFans, because it was a YouTube thing that she was doing.
She does a lot of very indecipherable things.
Yeah, she kind of has the same trajectory of work that you would expect from like an Indigo Child group or something, where it's just like am I not getting this because you think there's a higher purpose, or is this just people having fun, or what is this?
Yeah. Anyway, but she was on it. She was on Big Brother.
I had no interest in watching Big Brother until you mentioned that. Now I kind of want to see what the fuck she was doing on that show.
Yeah, I've only seen clips of it, but I kind of want to watch that season. And I haven't seen any like Big Brother UK, so it would be kind of interesting to watch like how they're different.
Yeah.
But early Big Brother is fucking ruthless. What they do to these people, like they make it kind of harder to live in the house over time because they implement like worse punishments for like if you're bad at the games.
What do you mean? What is what? Give me examples of punishments.
So one component of the game is like there's a bunch of competitions, and if like for example, 1 week your team loses the first competition, you get put on slop for the week, which is basically just oatmeal, and they can only eat oatmeal, nothing else.
Okay.
So like that's the biggest one in the early seasons, and then later on they turn it into the losers of any competition are the have-nots for that week, and they will create like a specific have-not room that is like incredibly uncomfortable with like a thin mattress pad and pillows for sleeping, like not beds. They just make it uncomfortable, and I think they lose like hot shower privileges.
Wait, like thin mattresses on the floor?
Yeah, like a sleeping bag mattress kind of thing.
All of this actually sounds like pretty good, though.
I think you would thrive in that environment. Actually,
I would be great on the losing team, just like oatmeal, flat, hard beds, just like, yeah, maybe.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you could make it through that like no problem.
I
But
got to go back in time and do some Big Brother UK.
I mean, you can still do the American one. They're still casting. But oh, the thing I was specifically going to mention about the earlier ones. So there's this one season where each season they kind of throw in like like a weird twist or something different to make it exciting. And then this one season we just finished up. I don't remember which one it was. They had this component where a couple, like 3 of the house guests, I think there's like 15 total, would be joined in the house by someone considered to be like their biggest enemy in their life. So
like not from the show, but like brought in from outside the show.
Like they talked to this person's people, I guess, and like figured out, I don't know how that got casted or whatever, but that was the premise. And so in that season, there was one girl named Jessica, one girl in the house named Carol, and her worst enemy was Jessica, who was a girl from 8th grade. Like they went to high school together, and she like owed her $5 and never paid her back, so she hated her. Okay. And that was the big feud. The next one was a gay couple that had broken up, like 2 guys, and they just like hated each other. And whatever. The third one was a father and daughter who were like completely estranged from each other, did not speak and had not spoken to each other in like multiple years.
Okay. That seems rougher than the other 2.
Like the spectrum of how bad these things are is very broad.
We brought in the man who shot your father.
Like, it's just so psychologically horrible for that person, and like it was an interesting season to watch, but really fucked up.
Do you have a nemesis? Is there somebody we would have to worry about if they had you on this show?
No, actually, you know what? I was just thinking about this the other day. The fact that I don't have a nemesis kind of is not great. Like, I think I should.
Well, like I don't either.
I think we should have some formidable enemies. I want like a foe, maybe. I think I'm just living too boring that I don't have an enemy.
Yeah, I gotta get out into the art world of Boise more so I can make some enemies. I think
Gotta make some enemies.
That's key.
Yeah.
It sounds like I may be able to show it can in the near future.
That'd be
also,
cool.
There's the friend that is running the march that I was working on stuff for yesterday. Also, is working with some people to open up like a block-wide art space underground downtown. So like that may be a thing that I can grasp a larger part of and stuff like that. So I can find some enemies. I
think you can find some enemies in the art world.
I'll be honest, Boise seems like a land of nemesis. There's a lot of people out here who, when you talk to them and mention certain people, they're like, I fucking hate that piece of shit. It's like, Jesus Christ, okay. Like, that's fine, I guess.
It's a small town.
I guess, but like in Seattle, the only difference is like there's more people, and like there's the people that people hate are like the chief of police and like shit like that. Like it's different.
Listen, we can't be concerning ourselves here in Idaho. Yeah. My nemesis is the cashier at the local organic grocery store. Like, that's what it's got to be.
It's just not. It's nothing. Like, what?
We simply do not have bigger fish to fry.
You guys got to get bigger fish out here so that there's somebody to hate. Though I have heard several individual people talk about the mayor. So at least there's that.
Oh yeah, no, the mayor's a piece of shit. She's pretty shitty. She's done a bunch of like anti-homeless shit. I don't know much about the previous one. I know she's a Democrat, but I don't, whatever that means in Idaho. Like,
yeah, I don't think that means much, honestly.
No, really not. Like, I keep getting campaign ads on YouTube, and literally all it has to be here is like, are you gonna vote for this guy who's a liberal, or Ron Smith who's a conservative? And like, that's it. No, like, no platform, nothing, just liberal, just Don John conservative. Like, that's
you could vote for the liberal Chunkerson, but Richard B. Riddick is a conservative. End of ad.
Literally. I mean, I know they're YouTube ads, and it's like, you have 3 seconds, but
I threw Fireball Lemonade all over my face. I got disturbed because you said it's a YouTube ad and they only have 3 seconds, which isn't true. Because I've been regularly getting hour-long ads. So that is.
You know what's fucked up now? You do know what's fucked up, because I know you suffer from this as well. Like, yeah. I get on YouTube and I want to watch a video that is 4 hours long, and I do not want to sit every fucking 15 minutes and click skip ad. And you know what? When you don't, they just keep going forever.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's another set.
I turned on a video yesterday. I was super tired. It was like the middle of the night, but I wasn't like set up to go to sleep yet. And I turned the thing on and I like passed out for like 20 minutes. And I woke up and I was like, what time is it? Like, there's this is not even similar to what I was watching. And it was like halfway through like a movie, and I looked, and it was an ad about like the like American president circa some year. It was an hour-long ad that I've now gotten served over a 48-hour period like 6 times. An hour-long ad that has like notable stars in it and stuff. And it's just like I had only made it like 5 minutes into the video I was watching in my 20 minutes of being asleep, and the other 15 minutes
It just
was
kept going.
15. It was a quarter of this ad.
Yeah.
Like, it's so fucked.
Yeah. There's like full length shit on there. If you don't skip through it, you're watching a fucking documentary about Ronald Reagan now.
And we'll see, this might be our lowest view count ever because we've used the word YouTube in a bad tone, but
YouTube.
on YouTube, I have been getting a lot of ads like that. But another thing lately that YouTube has been doing is they've been putting ads that I love in the feed of like clickable like store link ads. So
yeah,
like that's
thumbnails.
Yeah, that is now like a regular thing that's been woven into YouTube. So now they've like kind of like they did at like month 4 of COVID, they have moved the news feed as far down as they can while still having technically a news feed. And then they've also on like especially like the vertical orientation mobile version, every couple of videos you will have a clickable ad window that is not a video that will take you to like Amazon and shit like that. And it really breaks the illusion that it's not just a Google product that is listening to you as well. Because I'm just like, I've been getting ads for like, oh, did you want some fence posts? And it's like,
yeah.
Well, that's a thing that I was talking about recently. And like I think it was like earlier today, I was talking to myself about I was literally like holding a notepad and like talking to myself about shit I was annoyed with, and like it brought up relevant ads in my fucking YouTube feed. So that's fun.
It gets just more and more
And
blatant
that's
all the
fun.
time. It's fun. Like they don't even try and make it sneaky.
It's not like when like years ago when we were in your car and I mentioned Red Robin and started giving Red Robin ads. Like that at least was like, okay, it's the internet. I get it. It's Google to Google. It's all one place.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like inter-app, like,
It's
everything. Don't worry. All your information is with your IP address at all times. And we just have that.
Yeah, and it's like, it's going to automatically share all this unless you specifically say you don't want it to.
Yeah.
And even then, you're still fucked. But
it's like that fucking 2019 thing where it came out and then quickly was not talked about anymore. That I think it was Missouri was keeping track of all of the period tracking apps locally.
oh, I did hear about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was like some minor lawsuit against like the governor because he was like keeping track, like he literally had like access and trackability of like the cycles of people in the state. And one of the things that they were saying they wanted to use it for was when they could see missed cycles and stuff, they could investigate as to like, well, miscarriages and shit. So like that's a fun thing that 3 years ago they were already doing. That seems like it's probably got some real bad implications now.
That's totally fucked that was 3 years ago. Because I mean, in light of recent events, I just saw a bunch of tweets also about like, if you're using a period tracker, delete it. wipe that shit off your phone. Because people are going to be looking at that now. Wow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're granted, this is like inching into conspiracy and less like reality, but like some of this stuff, there's not a huge delineation. The like purchases that you make, if you make like reproductive health purchases within a certain schedule, like that shit can probably throw up flags too at this point. Like,
I'm sure. I mean, it's all like algorithm based, but absolutely, just based on what you're looking at, it makes total sense.
I mean, it's 2 weeks from Jesse's usual period, and they haven't bought any tampons. So,
Time
what's
to
the deal?
Arrest them.
Maybe we should keep an eye out. I heard some people on like, fuck, what was it? I can't remember the show. It was like a podcast thing. They were talking about how like there have been like fair implications of like the period tracking stuff potentially being one of the things that is rolled into very likely potential like interstate tracking when it comes to like getting like access to abortion, health, and stuff like that in other states, where like that could be used as a form of like investigative shit, which is pretty fucked. Like the fact that like everybody has spent the last couple decades just kind of readily being like, yeah, I know they're tracking everything I do, whatever, it's not that big a deal. And now it's like, oh, right, that's only not a big deal because we expect to have these rights. And now that they're like thinking about pulling that shit back, it's like, well, without those rights, this shit actually really matters.
Right. I mean, especially like the way that the opinion is written, it really leaves the enforcement up to states, and it's just going to turn into a whole clusterfuck when like blue states are doing their thing and like trying to harder than before to make it accessible, and then red states are trying to like prosecute people who are and I don't know.
Well, I think the thing I saw today, granted it was like an Instagram, like, here's some info kind of thing that I reposted, but it looks like it's like Washington, D.C. and Washington State are literally like the only places in the country that have not just abortion laws, but specifically laws to protect abortion within their state perpetually.
Yep.
That's not a lot of states. You could say that one of those is a state and one of those is a general territory where all of the richest people in the country are, to guarantee that they can still get that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's,
I think,
completely fucked.
Yeah. I think that's going to be the only one of the most important things that blue states can do in like the recent future or the near future is like codifying that shit into law. Like it has to be specifically named, because the vagueness of all of this shit is what let me tell you this.
Yes.
So I listened to the 5-4 episode on this, and they kind of like break down the opinion into 2 sections, sort of. And I'm gonna say this wrong because I'm dumb as fuck.
That 5-4 is seeming like a very prescient name at this point, considering the current situation.
Yeah. Seriously. But so like at the beginning of the opinion, hold on, let me actually pull up my notes on this because I actually wrote some of this shit down. I don't want to say it wrong. Okay, so apparently, to my understanding, the way that we have access to abortions now is through the precedent of something called substantive due process. Like,
Okay.
the right to an abortion is not specifically enumerated in the Constitution. It's not named or
Right.
whatever.
Like in the Bible.
Exactly. Um, and there are a lot of other things like gay marriage and the equality shit, other things that I don't specifically, bad things, civil rights things that we don't want undone.
Right.
That are also predicated on that, like, process or that reasoning. Like, there are things that are not named in the Constitution, but we can infer from what is there that these are rights we should have, basically. So the way that Alito wrote this opinion is kind of in two parts. And the first part, he makes the case that this, like, substantive due process reasoning doesn't apply to abortions because there is not, like, a long-standing history of abortion protection in our country.
Okay.
Basically, his reasoning is that because we didn't have rules about it in the past, or like we didn't do it in the past, we don't have we can't, like, reason to do it in the future.
So his reasoning on why women should be second-class citizens is because they didn't call shotgun?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes. It's very much like it really boils down the whole entire conservative legal project that is going on is just like a very narrow originalist interpretation of everything.
Okay.
Like, it's, if it's not in the Constitution or like it didn't happen in the past, well, we're not going to do it now.
Okay.
Like,
So it's the classical liberal playbook. The people who think that, like, slavery was fine, essentially, but it's because, like, at the time that everything was written, they didn't say it wasn't okay.
right. That is the exact reasoning that he uses. And then, in the second part of the opinion, he addresses the fact that, like, if you use that reasoning, you can go back on gay marriage. You can go back on civil rights. Things that are important. And the way he addresses it is by saying, oh, well, but this has to do with, like, a potential life. So it's different than the other things.
Uh-huh.
Which completely negates the whole, like, to my understanding, the first part of the opinion is like, I don't even want to get into when life begins, and like that's not important. We're not going to discuss that.
Sure.
And then he says, but it's not like it doesn't fall under the substantive due process thing purview because there's no precedent for it in the past. But this is different because there's a life involved. Like,
as opposed to any
reasoning.
other anything.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
and like it inherently contradicts the first thing that he's setting up. Like, it doesn't
also,
make sense.
like, if he were making that argument and people were taking it in good faith, it would be potentially anti-abortion, but only if you were coming at it from the angle of, like, ignoring any kind of scientific opinion.
Right.
But it would also be 100% pro-healthcare, and they're not having that conversation at all.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
having capitalist structure around our healthcare that bars anybody the, like, according to them, like, the inalienable right linked to their, like, survival, that doesn't matter because it's not the thing we're talking about, and who gives a shit, I guess.
Yeah. And a lot of the stuff that he cites and uses to back up his reasoning in the first part is like he cites the fact that abortion in the United States was like originally built on a eugenics program, as if not everything was kind of built on a eugenics program.
Like the part where we genocided an entire continent.
Yeah, that's not.
That's not eugenics related. That's a different thing.
And he goes as far as to be like, well, there's a disproportionate amount of black babies, essentially, that are getting aborted, and that's racist. And it's like, well, let's maybe think about why that's happening. Let's like
that's also Alex Jones's same point. Like Alex Jones has been talking about how
it's racist.
Yeah, about how abortion is racist for like his entire career.
There were also some other. I wrote these down because I knew you would enjoy them.
Good.
These are other great legal thinkers when he was making his argument that there's no precedent for abortion being protected in like the past.
Uh-huh.
These are the great thinkers and leaders that he cited. He cited a quote from Edward Koch, who equated abortion to murder.
Yeah, good. Scientist and moral paragon, Koch.
Yeah. God, my eye is twitching so much. Him. He cited a Matthew Hale, who described abortion as a great crime.
Cool.
Guess when those people died?
Oh, I'm gonna say 1950.
Edward Koch died in 1634.
Oh yeah, that's recent. That's actually way more recent than I would have expected.
Matthew Hale died in 1676. And while Matthew was alive, he had at least 2 women executed for witchcraft.
I assumed he would be like related to, I think it was like Nathan Hale from like at least the mid 1700s.
It might be, I don't know.
But 100 years earlier is not good. What does that have to do with us? That has nothing to do with any of us.
Why the fuck would we possibly be listening to? And yeah, that's exactly.
We may as well be making our fucking abortion rights based on like Pliny the Elder. Like, who gives a fuck what they said?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter now.
Yeah, exactly. They're just.
It's as stupid as listening to Jesus.
Which is so fucking frustrating that when it comes to shit like this, they have the most narrow reading of every possible interpretation of like what rights people could have.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to like freedom of expression, like religion and freedom of speech, that can be expanded to whatever the fuck they want. Like,
oh yeah,
like during now, like the mask shit.
Yeah, during now.
During now, that's a like freedom of speech issue somehow.
Yeah, and somehow like, prosperity gospel religion crosses over. Like, keeping them from making money is essentially like a moral issue, which shouldn't matter. Like, everybody's being kept from like certain things. You can't just claim that like you deserve the right to exploit people for their fucking money, but for some reason they get to do that because they're a church.
Really fucking dumb. Really fucking dumb. And a lot of the a lot of the Republican people are just crying about the fact that it was released in the first place, or leaked in the first place.
Oh no, they released it.
No. Who fucking cares? Like,
Yeah, I do think I heard Ben Shapiro complaining about this, about like fucking, I can't believe they would break
just
protocol like
the
this.
fake decorum that goes into that, and like, why should it be behind closed doors anyway? They're like litigating and writing opinions about what happens to all of us.
Literally, like they're also not elected by us, so we should at least get to hear what they're talking about.
They're like God kings who get to decide what's going on behind closed doors. And then, I mean, there's a lot I've heard a lot of like opinions on the leak and people having conspiracy theories about it, but I'm the one that I think is probably the most accurate. I don't know if I kind of feel like, anyway, but the one I think is the most accurate is that a conservative, what's the word, intern, whatever, whoever, someone that worked there of the conservative leaning, probably leaked it a little bit early because they wanted to like get over the outrage of it before elections,
right,
and try and get it like moving so it's not as big of a thing.
Try to make it happen so that it wouldn't affect the midterms as much.
That's kind of what I think. But I mean, also by that reasoning, you could say the same for like a Democrat leaking it. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But
yeah, I don't know.
It's just shitty.
Yeah, I would be okay with just assuming that whoever leaked it was probably like, this seems like too much of a problem, and also like, I feel bad, so I'm going to do something, and then I can go feel better about it, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think that maybe it was a like on my conscience sort of move, but
who knows? Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, but
I mean, it could have, for all we know, it could have been Alito's like aide just being told, "Hey, go leak this so that it doesn't affect the midterms." Like,
yeah,
totally.
I mean, that's kind of my cynical view of it, but
it would also seem right, given that the fucking right-wingosphere immediately did that thing of being like, I can't believe that those people would leak such important and private documents or whatever.
Yeah. We really care about the process of things and how they should go after 4 years of Donald Trump doing whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah. Yeah, like, no, at some point, we could just have a 2-hour-long thing in which I read every one of his, like, breakdowns that when he was in office for, I think, the first 2 years especially, and then a little bit of the last 2 years, there was still a enough of a Democrat majority in the president-appointed like checks and balances committee that they had a running tally of all the things he did to roll back protections for everything, and it was literally like,
I remember that.
Yeah, it was literally like 20 things a month that he completely fucked up. And like, when you hear about the stuff Joe Biden's fixed, it's like a page of like the 50 pages that he did. And the like list of stuff is just horrible to read through. Like, it's fucking footnotes that he like condemned like all of the fucking like women and children in Yemen to die. Like, that's just a thing that he did that got some publicity. But like, in the course of that, he was like displacing Native Americans, like destroying like tons of ecological shit. Like they took all the protections away from like a bunch of like types of fish and stuff like that that like are probably going to die out soon and will never be back. And like people talk about the frogs and stuff, but like tons of that stuff is vital to like the whole ecosystem in places, and they just guaranteed that that's not going to be here in the next few years. There's like a long damning list of that stuff.
Yeah.
But like even having that available on the internet from official White House sources, nobody fucking cared. It wasn't like read by anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I guess this is a decent time to say that I spent all of yesterday making signs for our abortion rally or march, I guess. That's taking place on Saturday here.
Nice.
Which I'm glad they're doing, and it was good to do that work because it felt meaningful and it's something I can do, but also like I ended up making like 20 signs, so like full size, like big like post signs and stuff that are what was requested. And I know that there's at least 2 more parties of people making some more, so it'll be like a pretty well-equipped group of people. But it's also they've been they eventually had to announce it. It was kept secret for a while so that they would get the least amount of like violent assholes coming out.
Yeah.
But the counter protesters are already like set to be there, and then they're having there's a Planned Parenthood rally earlier in the day. As soon as that's done, there's the march that my friend is setting up and will run for like a couple hours and have some extra speakers. But then at like 4 or 5, they're starting like a 2 or 3 hour rally for the counter protesters who are going to be there from the beginning. So there's now like a full set of counter protesting that's happening the whole time. And that's cool. And I also learned that like there's a regular group of counter protesters out in this area called like the it's not the War Dogs, but it's like something like that.
Equally LARPy.
It's the something dogs, and they apparently show up to all of these and are like libertarian freaks that are constantly like getting into fights with people and stuff. So that'll be exciting and cool.
Yeah. Counter protesters are a little scarier in places like Idaho.
Yeah. Hearing about all the BLM stuff and their counter protesters, I'm not super excited about it.
Yeah. I mean, that was... I doubt it'll be that bad. I think that was pretty bad. But
yeah.
At least in Coeur d'Alene, it got pretty bad.
The stuff I've heard here is pretty bad too. I heard tale of a number of broken jaws and stuff from people getting the shit beat out of them by like random people while they were protesting and stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just kind of the atmosphere when you're surrounded by bumpkin space that doesn't want to look into anything, or just wants to be comfortable with that sweet Jizu energy, which I've been hearing so much about. Yeah, so all that stuff's bad. And then we actually, weirdly enough, have some breaking news that is not announced publicly yet on our podcast, which is that the Planned Parenthood in Boise is closing. I got that through people from the Planned Parenthood of Boise, and they're waiting to announce it because they don't want to like throw people into a state. But we don't have that many watchers, and I'm announcing it. So that's good.
Related to everything that's going down, or is that just a weird?
It's related to a bunch of stuff, including like not being able to get funding. It sounds like.
Yeah.
But that's gonna leave Idaho with 2.
Yeah.
I think that leaves them with Meridian and somewhere else. So that'll be it in the state. And I imagine that could affect you to some degree.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So that sucks. Oh no, I did get the reason why they're closing. So they put in a new set of restrictive laws to guarantee that places would close, which included that you could no longer, in Idaho, run a medically based facility without having the ability and the space to house an ambulance. So they don't have that in Boise, like the one here. So they have to close. That's what it was. So it's just as shystery as you would expect.
Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah.
So good news, everybody. The dark part of my like humor is like maybe they'll announce it at the rally. That'll be fun. But fuck.
Yes.
Yeah, I have that in a block of notes that got like mashed in with the various like period tracking stuff I've been looking at, and Biden saying that trees are good. Our president's cool. he's helping out. I hope his dogs are okay. That also
I hope they're not dead.
That brings the whole you have another one of those already? Hey, are they any good?
Actually, yeah, they are good. It's they're pretty sweet, but there is definitely a yerba mate taste to them. Like it kind of tastes like mango-y with a little bit of like stank on it.
Okay, I'm into that.
I like it.
I like stank and I like yerba mate.
I like them.
Yeah. Anyway, that was the part of my intro that was no options. Was the part where they're forcing out Planned Parenthood from Boise.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Which in the not too distant future means the best birth control that you'll be able to get in this area will be ordering Plan B over the internet, which is not really a birth control plan.
Yeah, that's not great.
Because at that point, you may as well be like keeping a bathroom full of like pregnancy tests, because you're going to have some way of knowing right away, or like you're going to be taking Plan B every time you fuck. And I don't think that's going to be a very cool place for people to be at.
No. But that's not a bad idea to kind of stock up on that shit. Also, I don't know that they have like emergency contraception, like Plan B sort of shit, but I get my birth control through a website called the Ruby Project.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, and for like everyone that you buy, they send a free one to someone else or something like that. So seems good, seems nice, and it's you don't have to go to a doctor. You have to do some like FaceTime appointment where they ask you questions, but it's
like, hey, who are you? Nice. Here you go.
Yeah, I really am enjoying these like FaceTime doctor appointments that I get myself into.
Yeah.
I told you a little bit about my last one, which was weirder than normal, but they're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would recommend Ruby Project for anyone who's wanting shit mailed to them. I would guess they would have Plan B. I don't know.
I'll try and attach that somehow to stuff just so people know about it in case they don't.
I'm sure there's a lot of places you can do that now, but that's just where I've been getting it from for like years.
Okay. Speaking of people getting face fucked, what are your thoughts on the whole Madison Cawthorn thing? How's that going?
My favorite thing to come out of all of that is just the amount of posts I saw with his photo and nothing else but just the text. I would.
Yeah,
I
I think that we should no longer be allowing people to rickroll. It should now be the video of him was messing around with his cousin. Where his cousin's like, or is it somebody else or his cousin? Somebody says like, "Hey, Madison, you're poking my face with your dick and your butthole." I think that should be the new rickrolling.
Yeah, that's endemic, really.
Also, the have you watched or even heard that video?
No, but I want to. Can you find it and send it to me?
Yeah. Let me see about this. Yeah, you take a pee break. I'm gonna look this up.
Okay.
When you type in Madison Cawthorn to Google, it says Madison Cawthorn wheelchair, which is weird. Okay, is it male staffer? Not. It was his cousin who he was grabbing the dick of, I think. This is a more complex issue that we will go over in a minute here than just this guy who is in the Senate or Congress. He's come on. Representative Madison Cawthorn. Fuck, what's a representative? Was it Congress or Congress? Okay. Oh, come on. They gotta have this video. I will look on a porn site if I can't find it, because I know they'll probably have it. Oh, yeah. Anyway, he's in Congress. I think he's in Congress for one of the Carolinas. I forget now. Yeah, thanks, Daily Mail. Let's do a video direct search. See if I can get him on there. That looks like it. Okay, yeah, that's it.
Did you find it?
Yeah, I think so. Good timing.
Okay.
I just want you to hear the audio of this, because it's something. That's not. Fuck off. That's not the video. Just
What the fuck is happening in the video?
anyway, that's an excerpt from the video. I'll just.
It leaves a lot to the imagination.
Yeah. It's something. I think there is a longer version of it, but I'm sending you that version of it.
Interesting.
I think that should be the new Rickroll because it does fit really well.
Okay, I gotta see this with my eyes.
I'll see if I can find the one that's not censored for you, though.
Oh.
Anyway, so
What is going on?
So that video was released in retaliation for Madison Cawthorn, the congressman, who's like in his 20s.
Yeah, he's pretty young.
He did that thing on like a podcast or whatever where he said that he got invited to like a drug orgy. Yeah. And then
no, the Republicans doing sex party drug orgies. What?
And then like a day or two after, he got taken into the House minority leader or majority leader or whatever, I forget. Minority leader, I guess. The Republican head for that had him come in for like a yelling at session where supposedly this is like projection, but it's also like based on what they've been doing, and his response seems to be what happened. He was informed that they would be like launching a campaign against him, like to ruin his credit. So they've like every news channel has had a different story about like bad stuff he's done, including he's the one who had the loaded gun that he kept getting, like various times he's been like caught bringing a loaded gun onto planes.
Yes, I remember that.
He got caught bringing knives to schools for stuff.
These are like the one places you can't take that shit.
Yeah, he got a bunch of stuff leaked that was him and the thing that was him and his cousin. This was a staffer, I think, in the video, but the him and his cousin stuff was them like grabbing. He was like grabbing his cousin's dick over his pants, and like they had a bunch of texts about like pseudo romantic stuff, which kind of like the video is just like dumbass dude stuff. Like it's not incriminating unless you're conservative and or a boomer and you're looking at this stuff, in which case you're like, I don't know, you're looking at everything through the lens of like, my child would never do that, which is incorrect, but also like that's the kind of thing that's happening. I think Madison Cawthorn's a hunk of shit, but I also think he's a very normal, boring hunk of shit who just happened to say something about this orgy thing.
I think what's interesting about it is the fact that he's young and kind of dumb and naive, and he is stupid enough to just like say things how they're actually happening.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't have the tact yet.
And if you want to know his level of tact, go ahead and Google Madison Cawthorn punching trees, and you can get a good taste of his like cool behavior.
I don't feel like I need to see him punch trees.
Actually, I think you should look this up right now.
Okay.
I assumed you had seen this, but if you haven't, you should just go ahead and look this up.
Okay, I'll look it up. Madison Cawthorn punching tree. Oh, there's a GIF.
Yeah, I'm sure there's.
Madison Cawthorn beats up tree to own the libs.
Yeah.
Gotta get through that. Oh, why are there two? I just want to see the video. Take a look at this video that he had apparently posted and since has taken down a couple of years
ago. This is how I was introduced to this guy, was this video.
Oh, he beating the shit out of that tree.
Yeah, and to be clear, I know exactly the types of trees he's punching, and this is not impressive. Yeah, this is him wearing gloves and hitting an old tree. It's
a
not
dead
a big
tree.
Yeah.
Just flaking off parts of its dead cell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, despite him being younger, all of the things that he has done leading into his position with Congress was like for old people. And now they're just basically pulling the rest of stuff that he's done and being like, but he wasn't really that for old people, was he? Like, that's basically the extent of this.
Oh my god.
Here you go. Here's the second one is, I think, him and his cousin in the car with the secondary picture. And then the first one is the other one they're spreading around because he looks gay here. Which is enough, I guess, if you're Republican.
I love the maid costume.
Yeah, literally wearing a bra, but not correctly in a way that is exactly what you would expect for like a frat party or like anything else, but they're acting like what a deviant lifestyle, not like our high-class cocaine orgies.
It's entertaining, at the very least.
I mean, you got to be entertained. That's honestly, it's in the hierarchy of needs.
He's kind of like he's kind of like a young Rudy Giuliani.
He's probably not that bad, but he's not far off. A young Rudy Giuliani.
Young. There's time.
Yeah. A young Rudy Giuliani was not present until like his 40s, probably, anyway. So he's got like 15 years or whatever to get that shit worked out. He can be doing some broken windows policing in the next couple of years, and he'll be ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Things are cool. Did you know that?
They're really cool right now.
When you think about it, abortion, head in the right direction. Finally getting things, solidified. The Marvel phase, whatever, heading towards Venom Planet. Going to be a big, weird Babadook up there. Great. Looking forward to it. The Big Brother world, probably going to have somebody die soon. That'll be fun. That'll be something to watch. Maybe it'll be Trisha Paytas. We don't know. She might get back on there.
I would watch the shit out of that.
Get her. You should petition to get her back on Big Brother.
Yeah. I don't know how she ended up on the UK Celebrity Big Brother. What?
I was thinking the same thing. Like, why was it UK?
Why?
Because she's clearly not from anywhere
No.
else.
I think she's been in like LA forever, like just doing shit and trying to just be like micro famous. That is so weird. That she would be on UK, unless maybe she lived in the UK and I just didn't know about this. Maybe.
I would be surprised, but
I don't see her as a globe trotter.
She has more horse girl energy than she does UK weeb. But
yeah,
those things those can be the same person. So
I mean, the main thing that she's into is a constant rotation of identity. So it could be anything.
Yeah.
It could be anything.
She is very enigmatic.
I feel like she's a type 4 with BPD, like the worst BPD I've ever seen. And that
Are you comparing yourself to
a curse.
This here?
I am not comparing myself to her in the things that are done, but
Okay.
her actions do express like a deep need for identity and the lack of a stable identity, which is like the hallmark of type 4s.
Okay.
And she's kind of creative, so that's why I'm saying that. But I don't know. I'm not a fucking scientist.
Yeah, okay.
Just in case you didn't know. Now you do.
I feel like you are more mentally healthy than Trisha Paytas by a
No,
fair
I'm
degree.
not comparing mental states.
I wanna put that out there in case.
Just as someone who is a type 4 and also researched a lot about BPD at a point in time where I thought that was me. It's not, but I thought it was. I could see it.
Yeah, and that's
which is a toxic combination.
In the same way that like my typing matches up with Alex Jones. You gotta recognize some of that shit.
Some of it you just have to come to terms with.
Yeah.
But yeah. It's fun. It's a fun activity. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yerba mate is really hitting.
Excellent. Well, something that I also watched to veer off in another direction that isn't having to do with our impending birth issues.
I'm gonna send you stuff for my next topic. It doesn't have to be immediate. I just want to do it because there's a lot of them.
Okay, good. Yeah, and that'll help me gauge how much I should talk about anything else.
Okay. This will be really short. Actually.
So I watched all of, and I think like 2.5 days. Our Flag Means Death. I think you should come over, and we should. Well, do you have access to HBO over there?
What is it called?
Our Flag Means Death.
I actually. Oh no, I don't. No, HBO is the one I was using from you. Actually, I don't have HBO.
So we should watch all of Our Flag Means Death, and probably drink a pair of these, because that show. So I watched the whole thing. I was like, that was really good. And then the landlord here showed up like he does sometimes, and I was like, well, we could put this on and rewatch like the first episode and a half. I was like, fuck, this show's really good. Like, I would watch the whole thing again right now. And I would definitely suggest that Wait, this is part of your topic? What am I looking at? Anyway, I would definitely put that in my like, and Kurt suggested it as well, and I've heard a few other people mention it, but it's Taika Waititi and I want to say it was like David Jenkins or something like that. It was like a handful of people who are like known for other stuff, but like the grouping of them and the like I want to say it was 8 episodes total or something like that. And it was super well done. And it's like very funny, but also like it is taking the pirate experience using a bunch of characters that are like actual people, but then making a show that is like occasionally referential in a way that is like obviously that's only referential because it's a modern show, but a lot of the stuff is like a very real translation of what it would mean, like an overblown, like an exaggerated translation, but a real one of what it would mean to be in those situations. So it's like a very diverse cast. They have it's like the second show I've seen total that has like an actual non-binary like actor who's hired to specifically fulfill a role that is helped by that. They have like it's the sexuality in the show is like gayer than it is anything else, but like in a way that actually fits so well that it feels like grounded. It's all just like very well done, and it's very funny.
Nice. Yeah, I would be into that.
Wait, what am I looking at? That's a rock. Did you say no more frogs?
Watch the rest of them.
Okay. Okay, I'm watching these. The soundscape is good. Where is this, by the way?
It's at my grandparents' house.
Oh.
Or their property.
Okay. I finally saw what I was supposed to see there. They looked suspicious to start with, but I couldn't really tell. Okay, this one I can tell. I'm working backwards.
Okay.
These are some very good shots of these. Also, the sounds they're making are very good.
That's what I was trying to say.
I want to go harass these. Anyway, go on. Give me context for these.
Okay, so on my grandparents' property there is a pond. And I went and visited them recently, and we went to the pond, and there were, oh, I forgot to send you the tadpole video. There were a lot of tadpoles.
So is this a pond by, say, a monkey pool, or is this a pond by a garden? Which zone is this?
Neither. It's a different pond. It's close.
Okay.
It's like close to both of those, but it's sort of in a different location. It's
right.
like across from those. Which one's better? I'll send this one. Okay. But so we went and did a little like picnic lunch out there next to the pond, which was really nice. But these frogs were insane. There's some serious frog action.
Oh shit. Yeah, you just sent me a video with many different sized tadpoles in it.
Yeah, and so those ones were like, I don't know, normal tadpole size. They're like pretty small, but we saw out on out of the pond like 2 or 3 very large like too large to not have legs yet, just like
Okay.
huge hunking tadpoles with no legs, just like out dead in the middle of nowhere. Like I think they had probably gotten like picked up from by a bird or something, because they're huge, but they didn't have like any sort of legs, which was very weird because they were very big. But the highlight of that trip was walking along the perimeter of the pond, and the frogs would get scared and jump and scream. They they sound a lot like cats or like dogs. Like
they had a good sound. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a big variety of weird squeaks. But as you walk along, it was just like a chorus of weird squeaks. It was pretty fun.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Is this a private space or is this a public space?
It's a private space. But I mean, we can get up there.
I would like to see these frogs.
I will take you to see the frogs.
Yeah.
I assume, I mean, with the amount of tadpoles, next time we go, there will be a lot more frogs.
I would assume so.
Yeah, there are a lot of tadpoles. And I remember when we were walking up, there's like a couple of big rocks along the pond that some were just like out sunbathing. Mm-hmm. And 2 of them were just like stacked on top of each other so perfectly that when I walked up, I thought it was a statue. And my grandma, like one was sitting on the rock, and another one was sitting on top of it.
Okay.
Just like a stack of toads, frogs.
I don't know what the fuck they do.
I don't know. I don't think it was a mating thing. They seemed like they were just like stacked, but it was like so perfect that I thought it was a statue.
If I were a frog, I would be perfectly fine being part of frog pillar. That sounds like an okay way to be.
Yeah, it looked real comfy, but like as soon as I pulled out my phone to get a picture, they freaked out. So.
Okay.
They're very afraid.
Oh, I bet. Well, I don't know what your health radius is. Like what your anticipated social settings are.
I pretty much just I'm around Alex all the time, so I've pretty much just been observing whatever rules that he is.
Okay.
I haven't been sick, but I'm just whatever. Right.
I know how that is.
Oh, do you have experience?
As a person who has yet to test positive, rather, I do in fact know how that is. Having been in multiple households where people are laying on the floor being miserable and then walking around like.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. You just got superior. Don't tell the CDC. They're gonna come grab you in the night.
I definitely won't, especially if I'm gonna be at any, say, public meetings, which I'm not guaranteeing I will be at.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point is, at some point, frogs, Our flag means death. Fireball / apple and or lemonade. And then maybe a little situation right here. I feel like that could be a pretty good weekend situation.
Yeah. No, that's a great weekend. That's everything you need in a weekend.
I hear that onion / hamburger breath can actually bring frogs towards you. So.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure it would attract frogs. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
Oh, there was something I was going to say. I forgot what it was.
Did it have to do with Noel and the Venom Planet?
Almost certainly not.
I feel like that's the ring. Like I have given that to other people, and now they have to tell other people.
It's kind of the ring.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it is.
Yeah, sorry about
the Venom Planet. I have to tell someone or I'm gonna fucking die.
Hey, good news. You know somebody who's probably like in a bed that will listen to whatever it is that you yell at them. So
they have no choice.
Yeah, they can't go anywhere. What are they gonna do about it?
That's true.
You can't go outside. It's public safety, idiot. Now listen to this.
Idiot. You're fucking doomed, brother.
Anyway, what were you gonna say?
I don't know. It's gone. Whatever.
Is it that you're disappointed that Valentine's Day already passed, so we can't see the real action at a steak restaurant? Because that's my misgiving about receiving a gift card afterwards.
Oh, I didn't consider that.
Yeah, so in Seattle, and this has been primarily relayed to me, but I've seen plenty of other places where this is happening. I know several people, Natalie included, and others, who Ruth's Chris and other places that are fancy. Mm-hmm. If you go there on Valentine's Day, it's fucking amazing. Like you get a private show of people with escorts, unhappy couples, everything. Like you can go to those places, and if you're there to like just hang out and have some food, you can witness the rest of the clientele being goblins and trying to like do the Valentine's Day thing, which is my favorite. Honestly, it's one of my favorite days of the year because like even when I've had like significant others, we've had like very vague plans. I've somehow gotten away with dating a myriad of people who almost exclusively are like, who gives a shit? Let's go have a beer at some point. And so a few years ago, I was seeing somebody just like in North downtown in Seattle. And they were off work. They worked at a Starbucks. And they were off work at like 8. And I was off work at like 3. And I spent hours downtown walking around, like getting individual drinks. Like I went and had mezcal at a place, and then I went and had like a beer at a place, and then I went and got like I went to like 5 places and had like drinks, and then I ended up at a pastry place not far from where they lived, eating like I think it was like a whatever they had because they were out of most stuff. It was like a flaky pastry of some kind. And just every place I was like sitting alone at a table, like watching all the people. I remember at the pastry place, there was one guy who was sitting at a table super sad for like the whole time I was there, obviously waiting for somebody to show up who was not going to show up. There was a couple at the Mexican place that I went to that was like, they went there as like a last ditch effort for sure, and they like broke up by the time they had left. There was a bunch of people walking around doing like really like desperate weird shit. It was it was a perfect holiday, is what I'm saying.
I mean, the people watching on that holiday is amazing.
Everybody goes momentarily insane on certain holidays, and Valentine's Day is one of them. And it is fantastic to see.
It is fun. It's fun to witness, like, the neuroticism that it puts into people. I don't know. But I can imagine, especially in a fucking Ruth's Chris steakhouse.
Yeah, apparently that was Natalie of Natalie's Shady Fiction Warehouse. Their go-to spot would be Ruth's Chris for like date nights on Valentine's Day. Not because it was a good place to eat, but because you could get a little bit of food and watch all of the shit happen. It sounds incredible.
Watch it all go down.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's pretty smart.
Mm-hmm. And the guiltless ones are the people who are just rich dudes who hired a lady to go eat Valentine's food with them at a steak restaurant. And they're trying to see if they got a chance of like getting more out of it. Sounds so choice for like a Valentine's Day thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good.
At least in China, they do Valentine's Day and White Day, and they're like reverse holidays, where it's literally just like you give a gift to one partner and like do stuff for them, and then later they give you a gift and do stuff for you. That makes so much more sense than like Valentine's Day, where it's just like this weird like. The only thing that's consistent about that holiday is that you have cheap chocolate the week after, which is what all the normal people get, and then like the actual day is just a nightmare if you actually decide it's important.
Yeah, it's never fun if you actually like try and do something. That's
also don't do stuff on Valentine's Day. Do stuff a day around it, if anything.
Yeah.
Because everything's gonna suck on Valentine's Day. That's a given.
Yeah, it's a completely arbitrary day. Just like do your special whatever the fuck. It's another day. Yeah, I'm definitely more of a fan of like just in my life, if I come across something nice that I think would be nice for this person, I'll just like do that nice thing. Yeah. Just whenever. Doesn't have to be on Christmas, and the fact that Christmas is like an expectation is really fucking annoying to me.
Yeah, that's always been my opinion. If you care about somebody and you want to do stuff for them, just do it. Like the things that you can do for people often get worse on the days that are like special days. Right. And like the only day that supersedes that stuff is birthdays, and like you kind of have to have a sense of humor about birthdays anyway. But like the rest of the holidays are like almost exclusively the worst days to do stuff. Like, yeah. I think July 4th for fireworks is like the exception, and that's still like very like specific. And it's only because the more fireworks, the more interesting, and also the more you focus on that day, the less you actually have to like have them the rest of the time, which makes it a little better. Yeah. Yeah.
I can get my fireworks fix done in a day. That's fine.
I mean, my fireworks fix is if once a year you gave me one of those ones that you put on the street and it spins, and then like 6 Roman candles and 6 sparklers and a snake. That's good.
The snakes are good. I think the snakes and sparklers are probably my 2 favorite. I like the smoke bombs, actually. Those are pretty fun.
Yeah, those are all right.
I like the smoke bombs. Probably the tanks, just for like nostalgic reasons.
I've never gotten to see a tank. I've seen videos and I've seen references, and I know that they're like actual little tanks that like shoot stuff. I've never gotten to see one in person.
Well, we'll have to find one.
What's the fireworks laws out here? Can you do that stuff?
Yes.
Do we have to go to like Bogus Basin and like do stuff out there or something?
Well, I know that there are like large fireworks shows in Ann Morrison usually, like a really big show. That's where everyone goes. But if you go out like to Caldwell and stuff, you can actually buy fireworks out there. That's probably where you will find like that stuff.
How far away is Caldwell?
30, 35 minutes.
Okay, so that wouldn't be that hard to do.
No, it's doable. Finding a place to set them off is probably the harder part.
Well, we do have a sandy parking lot here.
That's true.
Hell yeah.
Herb cheese. Best
Herb cheese?
Herb cheese.
Look at that Herbert cheese. Yesterday I had half of an entire loaf of bread with oil and vinegar.
I saw pictures of that, and I'm jealous.
That was good. We could replicate that very easily.
One of my favorite, like, very underrated snacks. It's just a good bread.
Yes.
Some oil and vinegar.
So the thing that I was made privy to yesterday is that if you go to the Walmart out in the direction of Nampa, at about 4:30 to 5 o'clock, they put out fresh like French loaves. And if you buy those and then come back here where we have chef equipment, including like really nice bread knives, you can just like put together an amazing set of stuff. And also, I should have known, but I got here and was like, well, we don't have oil and vinegar though, right? And then Mark was immediately like, oh. We've got balsamic and olive oil right here. It's like, oh.
Yeah. Do you even know what house you reside in?
Yeah, I should have known better. A couple days ago, Matt made just a pile of homemade, what are they called? The like Chinese pastry rolls with stuff in them, egg rolls. He just made and house fried like a big pile of those, and they were sitting in the fridge. And the caveat to them was like, oh, I made them with too much meat. They're not quite right. They're like really too meaty. It's like, these are very good.
They're not right.
These aren't quite right.
They're not good.
It was like a cross between an egg roll and a meat pie. Like, it was very good.
That sounds excellent.
Yeah.
And perfect.
This place is regularly like a food oasis. It's pretty excellent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did I send you pictures of the fucking chef dinner that I had the other day?
I don't think so.
God damn. Let me send you this, because this is one of those things where, like, I usually think, like, oh, yeah, I have a pretty normal, like, existence here. And then every once in a while, it's like, that's not normal. That's extra. There it is. Yeah, this was... also, so you should get that image here in a second. If you can't tell, it's 3 drumsticks cooked in a way that, like, when you bite it, like, it just kind of falls off, and it's like perfectly fried almost tasting. And then the asparagus was like cooked so well that it was practically like undecipherable. It just tasted good. And behind it, which you can't really see very well, there is super well cooked potato wedges that were like very good JoJo's in there with like the sauce to like soak it all up.
Oh, yeah, this looks really good.
It was literally like restaurant food.
It looks, even the presentation, very nice.
Yeah, let me get the.
Gotta show everybody.
The
it's
general.
A nice little like pyramid.
Mm-hmm. It's the benefits of living with people who know those arts.
I always recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
Well, and having a person who knows how to chef properly, I don't know how to even drink properly, and a person who knows how to bartend properly has a lot of benefits.
Yeah,
that's a
good arrangement.
Yeah, I can set up some nice art, but I can't do the food part.
You can create the ambiance.
Though I will say, I've already set up to do, which you're going to have to come whenever I do this, a fried hot dog and cheese pancake night with my special sauce and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yes, please.
That shit is.
I would like to come to that.
Yeah. It's a pancake that's also a corn dog in all the right ways.
Okay, good. That sounds excellent. I have recently reignited a passion for hot dogs that I didn't
They're good.
Have before. I just fucking love hot dogs.
They're like kind of a perfect food in like a trash way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like them boiled. I like boiled hot dogs.
Hey, that was my birthday hot dog.
Nastiest hot dog.
You saw that man boil a hot dog for my birthday. You know what's up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was even bespoke. There weren't any other dogs in that water. It was just a single boiled dog. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty special.
Shit. I guess I'm actually like a month away from my birthday again. I should consider if I'm going to go back for some boiled dog or not.
Yeah, you should figure that out.
Yeah.
Because either way, we can figure out a dog situation.
Yeah, some kind of dog extravaganza, and then it's only like 12 days between our birthdays or whatever. So like we can, if we have one dog situation that has to be one way, we can always get another dog situation that's another way later.
That would be a good arrangement. I would be happy with that.
You know, life's about second chances.
Birthdays are kind of relative. Whatever. You can celebrate that shit whenever.
Yeah. It's true. All right. Well, I guess we've moved into the stage where we're both semi-belligerent and just complete assholes. So I would say we're at about the 3-hour mark. We're probably winding down. Everybody knows about Venom Planet. Everybody knows that abortion is getting weird
Yeah, I mean, I explain that shit as good as I can possibly do it because I'm a fucking idiot. So I encourage everyone to listen to the 5-4 podcast if you have any interest in like the legal side of things. It's very interesting.
Well, that's a 5-4, right?
Yes, 5-4 podcast. It's on like all the podcast places.
Well, I don't want to leave you guys hanging. I am going to open this United States of Soda. United Sodas of America. Get this
I'm
sour
curious about
blueberry
this
action.
actually.
Okay, that's pretty good.
It's blueberry?
Mm-hmm. Let me see what color this actually is, because it's very weird.
People pretend like blueberry is blue. Blueberry is purple.
Yeah, it's like clear/purple.
Yeah,
liquid.
that's kind of nice. Yeah. Wait, is that alcoholic or is it like a seltzer?
It's a soda.
Nice.
It's got it's only got 6 grams of sugar, so it's not a super sugary soda. Most Coke cans would have like 40 to 45, I think. So it's not too bad for that part.
That's not bad.
That's pretty good.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Yeah, exactly.
Have you ever had the... Fuck, what the fuck was on those? Actually, I think you're the one who sent these to me.
What was it?
It was Pocky. And they were covered in, I want to say, like, almond pieces?
Fuck yeah, those are good.
Those are so good.
Yeah.
I haven't seen those at, anywhere.
Yeah, that is something that Seattle really does have this place beat with. They have some fucking amazing, like, Asian places.
I see all these people on TikTok posting about the like H Mart. People have an H Mart somewhere. It's just like a chain of Asian store. What's that like?
They're good. There's a few H Marts in Seattle, and when I was staying at Kurt and Natalie's place prior to being here, there was an H Mart down the street that I went to for most of my shopping. It's fucking dope because you can get for like $2 to $5 bags full of shit like that and just have it for like the entire week. Like I got they had Russian snacks, so they had those like tea cookies that are like thick that I think I brought some of to the print shop at one point. You could get like all 4 flavors of those. They're like puffed molasses cookies with like glazes, and they're like you can get them in orange spice, caramel, vanilla, and like just sort of a rum flavor, but they're fucking great. You can get the big coated like wheat crackery things that they have a lot of in like Hawaii and here that are like they're not sour tasting, but they're almost like a cold sensation when you eat them because they have like a soy glaze on them. They're like they're really good. I haven't seen those anywhere
I feel
here.
like I've had that, but
You've absolutely had those. Those Japanese cracker mixes that have like the little like tiny ones with the swirls and all that stuff. You've had it because it's really.
I know that I've had it, but I can't picture it for some reason.
The little Cheez-It shaped ones that have like the glaze on them that are like it's those, but they're like thicker and bigger.
Okay.
They have a lot of those in Hawaii, but they're like you can buy them as like their own thing too. They have that stuff. They have like every type of ramen without the markup, so you can get whatever. That's where I got that Korean that chill chur or whatever the fuck it was I drank when I was still in the I think it was the last episode I did from Kurt and Natalie's apartment. For people watching, those are the ones where I had the big knitted eyeball above me. That bottle of like sake stuff that was like 25% alcohol that
Oh,
that like fucked me up by the end of the
yeah, I remember.
episode.
I remember that.
That's where I got that was at H Mart. Um, yeah, they have everything.
Yeah,
Yep,
we need an H Mart.
we badly
Our
need H Mart out here.
yeah, we have a few Asian grocery stores, and the big one is getting an extension to it, or it's in like the process of getting.
Right, that empty space next to it.
Mhm. Yeah.
I want to see what that is when it's set up.
Yeah, I don't really know. The way that it looks right now, it's very like warehousey. So I don't know if it's just storage now and they're going to convert it to something else. No idea. But hopefully they just put more stuff in it. Because I feel like, honestly, with TikTok happening, the fact that
Yes.
seriously, the fact that I have to like solely credit this to TikTok and just like social media, I feel like a lot of people really want to try a lot of the shit that they see.
That's
and
true.
It's really cool, actually.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. But yeah, I hope it gets bigger. It's already all right, but it could be better. An H Mart would be nice. We have a lot of like weird little grocery stores that I do want to go to. There's on Fairview. There's actually no, that's not Fairview. On Cole and Shinden is the Capital Asian Market. That's the big one.
That's the one we went to.
Yeah, and then there's another smaller one off of Fairview that I haven't been to. And then there's another one that is like Indian and Pakistani, I believe.
Okay.
I really want to go to that one. And then there's another one off of, I don't know street names, but it's a Turkish and like Mediterranean grocery.
Okay.
And then across from that is like an Ethiopian one.
That all sounds good. I would go to all that in a day, honestly.
It would be fun just to like tour around and see what these places have. Like,
I heard from Matt, roommate, that there is a Russian place too.
Restaurant? Or
No,
grocery store?
a grocery store. But I would have to get the location from him. Apparently, that's where he gets a lot of his like Polish and Russian goods.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't seen that one. I don't know where that is.
Yeah, I definitely want to go though and get some preserved fish and things like that. Things that are kind of not very findable out here. Like probably the best option you have out here is the Basque area, and that's
kind of expensive.
Kind of expensive, and they kind of don't have a ton of like fish stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be fun. I have started restarted Russian Duolingo.
Okay, yeah.
Because I figured I might as well finish the one that I know the most of. So that would be good practice, I guess.
Yeah. Are you getting anywhere with it?
I remember a lot more than I thought I did.
Okay.
I still know the whole alphabet. Like I can read it phonetically. I know how to say it, but I don't know a lot of the words. Most of my the Russian knowledge I have is based off of pop songs. So it's a lot of shit about like love and dreams and not much about like actual.
We'll have a good opportunity to review that in the near future also. Yeah, that's about where I'm at with Spanish. Like I could tell you all of the like letters and I could work through pronunciations, but I'm not going to have much of a vocabulary.
Yeah. I'm pretty much there. Like, I definitely remember more than I thought I would.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of just, like, little weird words that I've picked up from, like, context, what they are. But, yeah, I definitely don't know how to, like, say anything.
Yeah. I feel like I should get back into doing Chinese just so I can understand it a little more.
It's a good one to learn.
Yeah, it's hard as fuck though. Like without when I was doing it before, at least I had like a very occasional person who could tutor me, but now like I don't know anybody who knows any Chinese really, like not on a daily basis.
Yeah. You know, we don't have really like an Asian part of town or anything.
Yeah. You should. But
there's definitely enough here.
It's almost like they got chased out of all the places they were in, and now they they exist on the periphery without much of a neighborhood. Weird. Yeah.
Don't know about that.
All right. I think we should probably call it there. There's definitely a lot of other shit to talk about, but it's only going to get darker, and we can save some of that for next episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I'll try to break 1,000 BPM for my next intro. We'll see.
I am so excited.
When you get up into the multiple hundreds of BPM, the thing that people don't think about is how many bars you're actually putting in to get like 30 seconds of content. Because the thing the thing I played today was it was an 8/4 time, and it was 37 sets of like 8/4. So essentially like 4 chunks. So like, 100 and like 40-esque like bits of time that I had to fill out.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's something. But it's fun to do. You definitely get some interesting sound, but if I slowed it down to its full time, it would be like 2 minutes long or so. I also watched, this is not really a recommend, but I watched that Nobody movie with Bob Odenkirk. That's sort of a fun movie. It's kind of like a weird John Wicky kind of thing. And I don't know if I'm going to nerd out on it too much yet, but next episode, maybe look forward to some discussion of Dune, because I finally watched that. I also watched the new Batman, and there's some things to say about that.
I do kind of want to see that.
Yeah. I would watch it again, but it's not short.
I can probably only do it one time.
Yeah, you know how Dune is like a long, expansive kind of experience. Batman's a half hour longer.
That is stupid.
Yeah, it is pretty dumb. But
Batman does not warrant that much time.
absolutely not. But Colin Farrell is great in it, and everybody else. Well, Zoe Kravitz is great in it, but there's different angles on why.
Yeah.
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 But it's interesting. It's an interesting show.
I do want to see it. I'll have to watch it at some point.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
Well, I guess Bajabbers and McClunky.
No.
And hey, if there's a pro-abortion march near you, maybe go make it bigger.
Yeah. Maybe be gone thoughts straight into that march.
Yeah.
Because important real quick.
Yeah, that's kind of a big deal.
Alright. Good luck, everyone.
Good luck out there.